Right guys, welcome down to the Quest for the Open overall review and the round review from regional qualifying at West Lancs. Now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look through the round at West Lancs, just explain a little bit about what went on, the good things, the bad things, and then do an overall roundup of what the Quest for the Open this year has really meant and what's been achieved, what's not been achieved, and then if it's going to be rolling over into next year as well. Now first things first, let's just have a look at what I did at West Lancs. So I shot a 5 over, that's a 77 round West Lancs, has a par of 72, and the course was really tough. It was tight, it was bouncing really hard, it was almost impossible to hold it on a green if you landed it on the green, and then there's lots of runoff areas around the greens. It's just generally a great test of golf. It tests every single facet of a golfer's game, there's absolutely no doubt about that. And I actually really enjoyed the challenge. The course condition was incredible, but also the weather was fantastic as well. It was warm, it was sunny, there was a little bit of breeze, but there wasn't enough breeze to make it impossible. But because it was really benign, a 69 won, so 3 under, and then quite a few people had a 1 under, and then level par, as predicted, got into the playoff. There was 3 people in the playoff, and 2 of those got through as well. So obviously that's small numbers, and they go through to the final qualifying, which is at Hillside, and that's where the really good players all get together. So the ex-Tour pros, some current Tour pros who don't have exemption into the Open Championship, and all the qualifiers who've picked Hillside, and there's 4 others around the country. They all go into that one pot, and then from that, then the final qualifiers get through to the Open. And on that first tee shot at West Lancs, boy, I was nervous. I was so nervous. It was a 430 odd yard par 4, I think it is, but it was back into the wind, and I was sticking to my game plan. So it was a driving iron off the tee, no matter what. Everyone else I saw hit a driver. And it is so hard when you see other people doing something to actually stick to your game plan. But I was like, no, I'm going to hit my driving iron. And there was about 40-50 people there to watch. And by the way, I'm going to get on to you guys in a moment because you were incredible. And it was really nerve-wracking. I was happy to get it off that tee. I hit a horrible little thin, weak shot off to the right-hand side. It left me about 200 yards into the hole. And I hit the best shot of the day that I'd hit by probably quite a long way. It was an incredible 4-iron. I'm normally pretty modest, but it was a fantastic shot. It really was. Got it to about 10 foot. And over the putt, I've never had this before. I've had it in short spurts, but I've never had it so apparent to me. I was shaking as I was putting the ball back behind the marker to putt. Literally, I was physically shaking. I could almost just about get it stopping behind the marker on the green. Managed to get a good read on the putt, managed to hole it, started with a birdie. Absolute dream start. On the second, it was another little bit of a weak shot off to the right-hand side. Had to lay up to my second, it's a par 5. Hit a great pitch, which hit the pin and almost came back off the green. I hit my first putt about 25 to 30 feet past the hole, and then managed to hold the return one for a really good par in the end. And then it was around where I hit the ball okay. I didn't strike the ball quite as perfectly as I wanted to. Well, yeah, it's easy to say that, but I wasn't quite positioning it exactly where I wanted to on the course in some occasions. But because I was using irons off the tee, I used my driver 3 times, I think, and hit 1 really good one, 2 slightly iffy ones that put me in a bit of bother. But the last 2 that I hit were on the 17th and the 18th. And by that point, I really knew that I wasn't going to qualify because I was already 4 over. So I only used it once, and that was on the 4th hole, hit a really good one. And all day, I was just hovering in and around par. I made some really good up and downs, I made some really good saves. I missed a couple of dodgy putts, which I should have holed, so over 4 to 5 feet, which were a little bit disappointing. But then on the flip side, I also holed some fantastic putts for par. So like on the 9th, I hit just an iron off the tee, hit a wedge short of the green, had a really tough up and down, managed to get it to 20 foot and then rolled in a good par putt. So that compared to the 10th, which I hit an okay tee shot again, just to the left-hand side of the fairway. Short with my approach, so I was just trying to land it short, run it up, just finished a bit short. Had a really good chip on to 3 foot, missed my putt. So it's those checks and balances. You know, I didn't hold that 3-footer, which is obviously disappointing. I just overread it. I got a little bit too obsessed with the line. I should just hit it in the middle of the hole. And then on the hole before, I had a really great putt. So it was that day of just having good things happen, slightly dodgy things happen, and not quite getting it all into one consistent round. And my stats, so I hit 35% of fairways. I missed 30% pretty much off to the left, 35% off to the right. And although that's not great, The misses, because I was using my irons, never got really into the heavy rough apart from when I used my driver. And when that happened, that's what punished me. I was most disappointed by the day of what I do with my greens in regulation. So I only hit 40% of green, well, just under 40% of greens in regulation. And what I was continuing to do, and it was annoying me because I just didn't quite have the control that I wanted, I kept pitching it on the green. Now, with the way that the greens were at West Lancs, if it pitched on the green, unless it was into the wind, there was no chance of stopping it. And I just couldn't quite manage to get it landing where I wanted it to. I was always just landing it a little too short or a little bit too much on the green, and then it was carrying through and leaving me some really hard shots. That was the most disappointing factor of the day, and the one factor which I think, if I'd have got better, I could have posted a really good number. I had 60% birdies, 38% pars, 44% of bogeys, no double bogeys, no eagles. Rick had a hole-in-one on the 17th as well, which I'm sure you've heard by now, which we heard from the clubhouse. It was incredible to hear. It was fantastic. And of course that leaves me with the unwanted attribute of being the only one out of the, well, Quest team for a start who hasn't had a hole-in-one, but Andy's also had a hole-in-one, Matt's had a hole-in-one. It's just like, I need to get one. The only slight blessing is Rick had, I would say, a fantastic hole-in-one because it was in front of people, it was open qualifying, but it wasn't filmed. So that's the only thing I can hopefully get over him, that I can film it. So when he describes his, I can go, but do you want to see mine? Do you want to see it? And the course was superb. The people who came to watch, I cannot overemphasize how much that it meant. People travel from hours away to watch, and to have you all there and to have your support on the day, it was amazing. I know what Rick was on about last year, how he felt very nervous, but I just felt so excited. I mean, the first hole helped when I birdied it because it settled me down, but I just felt so excited to have everyone there, to have everyone watching, have everyone cheer the bad shots and just give me commiserations when the shots weren't great. It felt amazing, and it felt incredible that what we do online, what we do with these videos, incentivize people enough to come hours out of their way to support us on a round. And that gets us on to the roundup of the Quest for the Open this year and exactly how it's gone, and to see if it will be continuing into next year. Overall, this year, my game has become more consistent as far as I'm not generally having really bad rounds in competition. So I've not like shot in the 80s or anything like that. I've managed to keep it within the 70s when I've played poorly, and then when I've been playing pretty steady, it's been low 70s, so just under par to level or just over par. Now that is a step up from some of the other stuff that I've done in comps before, where I've had decent rounds, but then I've had really bad rounds when it's just not been my day. So I'm happy with how my game is progressing in that regard. The one thing which I still need to figure out a little bit better is how to get those really low rounds. So when I'm striking it well, when I'm playing well, how I can go deep, how I can get those 64s, those 65s, because I've not reproduced that yet in a competition. My mental game overall is improving. I'm still having slight issues like just before the Open actually getting a good amount of sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night and I really woke up. I did manage to get back to sleep in the end, but it's not ideal preparation. That's a problem that I've had in the past, but that's got a lot better this year before competition, actually managing to get decent amounts of sleep. But it's still an issue which is just generally occurring. My overall fitness is better than it was last year. I've lost a bit of weight, I'm feeling healthier, but it's not consistent at the moment. You know, I'm doing training here and there. I've obviously done the stuff that was on the battleboard about fitness, which I was happy with, but it's about keeping the consistency there. And that's something which I struggle with fitness. I'm not naturally someone who will want to get out in the morning and go for a run, who will naturally want to go to the gym. And with everything that goes on, with all the work that we do, it's tricky to make that a priority, but it is just a case of switching priorities around. So it's just something I need to bring to the forefront a little bit more. My full swing technically is better. The work I've been doing with Dan, I've been very happy with. The one thing I've not been able to do again this year is practice the full swing that much. So I've been able to do it on the course, I've been able to have a few range sessions, but my wrist is still not quite right. Again, it's not a bad injury, it's just one that starts to wake after a lot of shots. So it's just going to be the case, I think, of resting it, icing it, making sure that I don't go overboard on it, and finding less impactful ways to actually practice my full swing technique. And that leads on to what I'm doing my short game. My short game, my chipping and my putting is probably the best it's ever been, and that's down to the scramble test that I was doing, and I am still going to be doing on the course. And that goes into the battle board, which really has been a revelation. Because what I've always done with my game is I've practiced my chipping by practicing my technique, just sticking loads of balls down by the green, for example, just hitting lots of chips, or lots of ball at driving range, just hitting lots of shots. And what the battle board has really shown is that on-course pressurised practice really is the way to go. And it's something I do encourage all my lessons to do for absolute sure, to get out on the course just as much as they're on the range, to actually make sure that what they can do in their practice translates to the course. And that is something I'm going to be doing so much more of. Other aspects of my short game, my bunker play, apart from the slight dodginess I had at West Lancs, is actually pretty good at the moment. My pitching is still okay, it is nowhere near good enough. You see what the top guys do, and looking around West Lancs, Rick's made the same point. Some of the people who were playing there, you saw them with wedges in their hands. The people who play a lot, play all the time, their wedge games were really good. So that is something, again, which needs to get better. Generally speaking, the Quest for the Open this year has been a really, really enjoyable experience. It's been a great test of a lot of areas of what I do, as far as practice, as far as what I'm doing work-wise. And I definitely want to try and do it again next year, but there are going to be some changes. The first thing we need to make sure of, and the first thing I really want you guys to understand, is I'm not a tour pro, and I don't want to be a tour pro. The Quest for the Open series and this challenge that we've set ourselves is about trying to qualify for a single event, which is possible by having 3 really good rounds. Now, it's almost impossible just to turn up and have those 3 rounds, which is why you need to put the practice in throughout the year. But it is not a case that I'm practicing, that I'm working, so I can try and get on tour. That just doesn't interest me. I love what I do. I love making these videos. I love coaching. I love trying to improve my game to a set goal. But the amount of traveling that we do and the amount of work that we do, trying to become a tour pro just isn't a realistic goal. And like I said, it's not what I'm bothered about. And so much this year, the positivity from you guys that you've been showing, that you've been supporting in this quest has been incredible. And I'm speaking probably a little bit to the converted here, the people who really understand what this quest is about. I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to qualify for this competition, which is such long odds to do with the amount of quality players that are out there and the way that the qualification process does this. And I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to improve around pretty much a full-time job. Well, not pretty much a full-time job. The YouTube and the coaching things and all the stuff on social media, that is a full-time job. Sticking 50, 60 hours a week into that and then trying to improve around it. Obviously, there's crossovers, so filming a course vlog, you can practice and film at the same time. But the amount of hours that that needs and the amount of hours that we put into that, it's not particularly conducive to also practicing loads and becoming an awesome player. But hopefully a lot of people can understand, and hopefully a lot of people can relate to the fact that I'm trying to improve my game whilst working within the same industry, but also whilst putting loads of hours into things which aren't practice. And if you think about what the majority of golfers do, that is exactly what they do. You know, you guys watching this, working full-time, studying full-time, trying to achieve other things whilst trying to improve your golf at the same time, it's tricky. It's definitely hard to do. And that is what we're all trying to do. And for everyone who's commented on these videos, for everyone who's interacted with what we've done this year, I just want to say thank you, because it's been an incredible experience. And it is one that, yeah, I'm looking to continue. So what I'm going to do is just chill for a couple of weeks. I'm going to get the house sorted. We're looking to buy somewhere else. We've actually hopefully sold the place that we're in now as well. So we've got a house move to get sorted, which is never a stress-free thing to do. So we've got to get that done. And I think I'll probably kick this off again after the Open. So leading from the Open, once we've been there at Birkdale, probably going to be at Birkdale all week as well, so if you guys are coming, please don't hesitate to say hello. And then just start the whole project again, so get a good full year at it. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking part in this. Loads of videos coming your way in the next few weeks from Birkdale and other places as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button. Those things allow us to go these places, do these things, and share these things with you as well. So guys, thank you so much. A big thank you once more to everyone who came down to watch. It was just brilliant, it really was. And we'll see you guys next time.